Hey guys, this is Dr. Dain for The Return of the Gentleman, here to follow on the conversation about intimacy. Hopefully you've seen that video already. If you haven't, please watch it because it's really integral to this conversation. And so one of easy for me to say, my ADHD is going off big time right now. One of the things I'd like to talk to you about today is how do you deal with competition, especially with other men? Now, we all know what it's like to be with our friends and we're having a good time, and then some woman or a group of women walk in and we're like, ugh. And we go from having this great friendship, this camaraderie, this caring for our friends, and into must find girl, must have girl, must be the one to get the girl. And unfortunately, it's killing us, it's killing our connection with our friends. And I know pretty much all the other guys you hang around probably totally understand it because we've all been taught to do it. But what if there's a different choice and a different possibility? See, one of the things I found is as I've developed more of a sense of intimacy with myself, the honoring, the trust, the allowance, the vulnerability, and the gratitude with myself, what happens now when I'm in a situation with other guys and women walk in, it's like women don't have more value, guys don't have less value, they all are a contribution. Or they're not a contribution at all, depending on who they are and depending on whether they want to contribute or not. And it's also given me this really dynamic awareness of what a lot of women do when they're around guys, which is play them off against each other energetically, which is like, see, he likes me, he likes me, he likes me, you guys should kill each other for me. No, sorry, not going there. I've got too much honoring of myself to dishonor my friends. What would it be like if you had so much honoring for you that you didn't dishonor other men, that you didn't dishonor women, that the gentleman that you were was actually about honoring everyone, including you. And this is the thing you gotta get, because a lot of us have this idea that if we can just get the right girl, or if we can get the girl that all the other guys want, then we have value. Except, how long does that last? I mean, we all know people who have married people based on that, based on wanting to have the woman and who looked the right way. And it was a horrendous relationship. It was a horrendous marriage from start to finish. And yet it wasn't, and the reason that gets created in all of our relationships is because we're actually not honoring of ourselves and we don't have a sense of intimacy with us. So what if your first choice, the first thing you went to was, is this honoring of me? And that's first, because that'll give you a different perspective. And then what would it be to be honoring of all the people that are here? And when you start functioning from that, it's like that testosterone thing, that we have, where with testosterone, when it turns on, our two choices are mount it or kill it. That starts to go away. It starts to soften the edges of that a lot. And it really does become about what is honoring of me and them and what will actually create the most. Because this is the other thing. Now, I've been in situations with so many men, doing the work that I do. It's like I hang out with guys all the time. I hang out with girls all the time, with people a lot of my life. So I get to have probably a lot more interactions with people than most do. So I've gotten to see how a lot of these dynamics play out. And I've been in situations where, once again, group of guys, we're hanging out, we're having a good time, and a group of women walk in, and you can tell usually about 80% of the guys, their attention totally goes off the guys because they have less value now, goes towards the women, and you might as well knock on their head to try to get their attention, and you still can't get their attention. Maybe if you knocked on their penis, it might work, because I think that's where all their brains went. We know how this works, right? Beautiful woman walks by, your brains go south for the winter, that kind of thing? Yeah. Well, I've been guilty of it too. I'm just changing things now. So in recognizing that a lot of their attention goes away, one of the things I do is I'll actually start a conversation with them, and I'll also go, wow, isn't she stunning? And they go, well, I wasn't looking at her. I'm like, we were all looking at her. Wasn't she stunning? And they go, oh yeah. I'm like, and it gives them the freedom, number one, to not have to try to hide it, which is really cool. But number two, it's like, for me, if some guy that I'm with wants some girl, it's like, I will more than happily be your wingman and go talk to her for you. I'll go say, hey, my friend thinks you're really cute, but he's really shy, even if he's not, because that's a wonderful thing, and he would love to talk to you. Do you have any interest? And then she has the choice. But what it is like, I've had his back, I've had my back, and I've had her back. And this is the thing, that if you can allow yourself to choose it and look from this place of what is the most honoring, this changes your whole world, because it makes it where you no longer avoid hanging out with other guys. It makes it where you no longer avoid the social situations where you feel like you have to turn into something that's not you. Because this is the thing that kills us. When we turn into something that's not us, to try to function from some image of man or what we are or what we're not, this is what gets in our way the most. So please, watch the intimacy video, get a sense of those elements, run those processes, and then you'll actually start to look from this place of being that honoring, being that vulnerability. The trust, the allowance, and the gratitude creates a totally different space for how you can be. And the other thing is the willingness to actually talk to other guys and have a conversation that doesn't have to be about anything, that doesn't have to be about proving in any way. You know, because so many times around other guys, we're already in competition mode, because that's what we learned since we were kids. Actually, since I said that, everything you learned as a little boy about competition and about how you had to compete with other little boys, and now you're a big boy, but you still compete with the big boys and the little boys, and everywhere you decided that you had to be the sexiest one in the room or you had no value, or everywhere that was put on you, were you just running creative, please? Times a gazillion, right, wrong, good, bad, all nine, pod, poc, shorts, boys, and beyond. Okay, so this really, in a sense, is the beginning of a conversation, but I figured with this short video I could give you enough of a sense of how this could work to give you some different choices when you're in these situations, because that's what all this stuff is about. It's like being able to actually live your life in the moments of real life, you know, going out partying, going out, you know, looking at girls, looking for girls, living your life, being in your job, being in your relationships, and actually getting to be there as you. That's the gift. And if you have that, everything is phenomenal. By the way, I hope you have a barf bag, because we're going like this. I hope I'm not, you know, doing too much to your internal equilibrium. Oh, actually, I'm hoping to totally mess up your internal equilibrium so you can create a new one. So, on that note, for the return of the gentleman, this is Dr. Dain here. What if you truly being you? Total intimacy with self is the gift, the change, and the possibility this world requires. Thanks for watching. I look forward to meeting you in person someday. Bye.